Hi everybody, I'm Jeff, I'm a wizard, and I want to share a quick story, something I experienced today. I started work again in an addiction clinic. I'm a doctor, and I'm not really specializing in anything specific at the moment. That doesn't matter. I started working again there, and this has been a pretty difficult thing actually, like way more difficult than I thought it would be. Just because I took time off work, and now it's getting back on the horse, and that's way more scary than I thought it would be. And also, let's put it this way: I was in a panic attack for 2 weeks. I was just constantly in a panic attack. Like I'd say, exhale, like it was just. Really emotional as well. So it was really scary actually, because at the same time I started working, and then it almost felt like, oh my god, this is completely wrong. I made the wrong decision, and this is making me depressed or something. Anyways, so it has been tricky. Today I had a patient that came for a detox, who was a bit in a crisis situation, and this sort of presentation or story got me a bit by surprise. And I'll explain. Like his age doesn't matter, its story doesn't matter. The point is that when I saw him, he was in very heavy withdrawal. Pretty typical things, like having a fever, being nauseous, throwing up, feeling like terrible, you feel like shit, very emotional, shaking, incredible shaking, anxiety, fear, feeling really terrible. And then a little bit later, when we gave him some medication to cope with this, he started talking, and the story was because he had been there a couple of months prior, and he was kind of doing good. He was really trying his best, sticking in there, and he was supposed to start working the beginning of the month. And only like half a week before that, or really shortly before that, they gave the notice that it wasn't going to happen at this time because of the corona stuff. That it was probably going to be postponed. That's the story. Like, not fun if you want to start working, and not fun at all that they give you such short notice when they maybe could have known before that. But okay, fine, it's a temporary setback. But for this guy, when he was telling the story, he was so angry and so sad. He was so distraught by it, and I had trouble finding why he took it so personal. It was like he was so angry at them, like, why did they do this? And they could have done it this way, and I can't believe they would do that to me. And it seemed to take it so personal, and I couldn't really figure out why he was in such a mode of despair, because from my point of view, I saw that, like, I was asking him, like, what did they say? Are you going to start but then just later, or why is it such a big deal? And that was not the big deal. And then I realized the weird thing in reality that was going on from an outside point of view. It's not a small thing, starting a new job, starting somewhere new, and it can be very important for you. But this sort of situation does not seem like a big deal, okay? And especially since everybody's going through it, especially since it's not a big surprise that during these times you find out that some things are not going as planned. Anyways, but from his point of view, this was the only thing that was keeping him focused, that gave him a purpose. This job was so important for him because it, he needed this for his confidence, for his pride, to be normal. Like it's when you're on the other side, it's no big deal. You would probably say, kids, stay home, like enjoy your time. But for that guy, he was trying so hard to keep it straight, and because of things that he had experienced, and terrible things, he really has had a rough go, and he's starting to build up his life again, these little things. And that job was so important for him, not just because it would have been a sort of anchor for him to start building something up again. It's the start, but it would have given him something to do, something to keep your mind busy, keep your mind distracted, and especially to show to the outside world, to yourself, I can do this. I can to join again with the rest of the world. And to then have that slip away it's like the ground falls beneath your feet, I think. So I understood it kind of then, and I just understood it because I recognized myself in it, and it kind of brought me to the couple of points that I thought were interesting. First of all, like from my point of view, it was so obvious how incredibly hard he was being to himself, especially since, because of this major setback for him and this big deal. It's a big deal, and it's one of those big deals that it's hard to explain to your surroundings. So it puts you in this defensive mode where you have to. People do it when they don't have to. Even with me, he was trying to explain, like, reason that he really was trying, and that because he started drinking again because of this stupid thing, like really went to a dark place, and really was just in this defeated mode. Like, he had prepared himself so much to get on that horse again, and then he comes there and suddenly has to, like, wait and come back. It was such a build-up, and I exactly know what he's talking about, because for me, before I started doing this job, even though it wasn't. The challenging thing was not the work itself. I mean, it is challenging, and it's like I have to learn a lot still, but I wasn't afraid of that. I wasn't afraid intellectually, and I wasn't afraid of, like, my skills, because I know I saw like working with the patients, or understanding them, and work, like, anyways, I have some talents there that really, like, shine. But there are also some things about this, and it's mostly about the normal life, doing it every day, being on time, working according to a schedule and sticking to that, or doing repetitive work and surrendering to that. Small things like that, or even working with the people, being around people all day, and then still having to process a lot of things around that, how heavy that is. And especially when you're coming from your point of view, from your story, it's such a terrifying moment, because if it's such a small thing, but for me it would have been the same if, like, this job fails, or something would have gone wrong, or I would have fucked up. It's really one of those things where it would have been hard to get up again, because it really took the very last strength I had left somehow to do it again, go at it again. And still not have the rewards or the big, you're still not doing something big, right? You're still sort of starting again. And I think that's the hard part. I think for a lot of these, I see this with a lot of these addicts, and especially these young people, they have this tendency to walk past themselves, or to run past themselves, or to trip over themselves, because there's such a deep desire to start. You also want to go big places and have dreams, and you want to join, and then you see that you're behind, so you want to start, you want to get into it, and then when you fuck up again and you have to go, like, let's say, to a detox, and you have to get clean again, and it takes months, and then you have to start school again, and that maybe takes a year, you feel like life is passing you by, and you compare yourself. That's the problem. You're comparing yourself so much. And also the second thing I recognized, and that helped me correct maybe my point of view, is where he would pit himself up against this break or make it moment or something. Like, I'm going to prove myself, and the fact that this failed, and then he then had a setback, the disappointment there, and he saw it as proof that he can do it. You know, he failed, so that was the proof he can't do it, because he was making the working out of this one thing the proof that he can do it, and that's a dangerous game to play. You understand why now. It was really terrible to see him, because he was in a dark place. Of course, he was having withdrawal at the moment, so that always puts you in a very warped place to look at it, because you feel so bad. You feel like you really feel like you're gonna die. That's the terrible thing. You really feel like you're gonna die. You're so scared. The good thing is, usually these people, when they're really withdrawing that bad, when you think you're gonna die, you speak the truth. So they're most of the time, it's really easy to get a proper to know their drug use. They will usually be pretty honest and yeah, this is I used it all yesterday, and then I did this, it was terrible, I'm a terrible, and and also what I learned is how you have to be careful when you're working with other people, because when you're saying no to people, or when you are maybe getting in the way of these small things for people, then please be careful that, especially when you're giving somebody a job and you're gonna say no. I mean, that's your prerogative, that's fine, and it's not your responsibility to help somebody else cope with that, but maybe be mindful of that is a huge deal for somebody else. That small step, that small job, that small little start, going to school for 2 weeks, doing it, just getting through the day. And I swear to you, it is a nightmare. Just getting through those first days is terrible, and it is really hard. And it made me think of the situation that I was having with one of the new doctors that I'm working with, where today she had a small little mishap where I was supposed to put her in a list, and I failed to do it 2 or 3 times, really, and I was trying. I was just something I did wrong every time, something she had to correct. And then she came to me, and she was a bit agitated, and she said, before asking me again, what is going on, you failed, it again, why is this a problem? She kind of jumped to, I wish you would just ask me if you don't understand. And I think there was an assumption under that, where I think she was a bit offended because, I don't understand how it works, I'll just ignore the problem. Like she's not waiting for me. A bit disrespectful to her, maybe. Which I don't resonate with, because when she said this to me, I don't react to that because I'm not even aware of any disrespect that I'm doing. I'm really just failing and fucking up with the program, and I'm not even aware of it. I wish, I wasn't even at the stage of ignoring somebody consciously, But then I also realized, because I was having such a hard time starting up with the job, especially with these Corona times, it was such a passive state at work. It was really difficult for me, and I am very introverted in the beginning. I really have this problem where I'm I'm 2 meters tall, like this huge guy, and I just sort of collapse and close down in the beginning because I feel so clumsy and awkward and out of place. And then I'm also like putting this judgment on me, like I don't like, because that is so hard for me. I'm feeling so like you feel like a fraud. You feel like a fraud at your job because you think you don't belong there. You think I can't do this. If they only knew how bad it was, or if they only knew how much I'm struggling and how difficult it is for me to do these simple things, they would really not respect me, or they would really like fire me, right? So you have this fraud, imposter syndrome, and then I realized the problem, the mistake I was making, that I can't expect her to see my point of view. So from her point of view, it's because you're not going to expect that like a person like me is going through this difficult situation. And I always have had the problem where I can look really, really good and put together, or like really, I don't know, really happy even, or assertive, while I'm feeling really bad, like I'm feeling really depressed. But it's because it's a coping. It's like I had this all my life. When you're really that sad, you kind of put this clown to the front. You like I can make a joke out of everything. I can, like, oh, you guys see I'm sad. I know I'm sad. I see I'm sad. I can make fun of that. Like, I'm very well aware. So it's an inner shield around you, because people are not even allowed to point things at you because you're already pulling it to this comic side, or you get very clever at playing with humor, and it's not because you really want to be so avoidant. It's because you kind of think people are hearing you, and they kind of see that you're ducking away, but they're not. They just, you duck more and more, and nobody comes for you, kind of. Well, that went to a weird place. Any case, so for me, the lesson also was like, I need to be a lot more mindful and maybe take more of my time when I'm having my difficulties to maybe explain myself to some people that I'm working with. And be more honest about this. I think also what I learned from this guy is when he was telling the story, like, I think he never realized how obvious it was for me. Because I told him, like, dude, I get you. In your situation, I would have been devastated as well. It's really normal. This was such a big deal for you. You were trying so hard. I can completely understand how this thing that you were living towards was such a big deal, and how much that hurt you. And the fact that you're now drinking again for a couple of weeks really doesn't bother me. Like, from my point of view, I still see the same good guy with the same value, I believe in you just as much as before that. But for him, he must see this judgment in people's eyes, or because he already passed his judgment on to him, right? Again, because his expectation was so high, and I don't think I put this high of an expectation on it, but subconsciously, you are really. Also, the last thing I learned was how important that job is for him in his recovery period, in him getting back to his own, like, to his normal self, or to finding his way again. How important it is to start somewhere, make that beginning. How important that small thing is. So for myself, I suddenly saw, like, oh, I really need this. This is the right decision, because right now I really need this for me to get better, or to slowly, and I also realized how much of my confidence had gone, and how not in who I am, or maybe my knowledge, but being around other people and the being judged. So it triggered me a whole lot, because when you have trouble with these small things, it comes from like a place of deep insecurity, where this is just you've only seen yourself fuck up and fail and sabotage yourself. So you're fighting yourself all the way, right? So So I fought it a little bit too hard, and now I'm realizing how important it is for me and how important it is to have this small thing to pull yourself back up onto. It doesn't have to be your dream job, it doesn't have to be a great career jump. It has to be you playing with the world again and starting to feel useful again and have that distraction. Being locked with your thoughts, as we all know now, is not a good idea. Anyways, that was my small story about my doctor adventures. So hope it was fun to listen to. Bye.